One of the biggest issues with home security cameras, that would be mounting. Sure, you get lots of options, like things that can rotate and lock into place, or this L-shaped thing, or these extra mounting brackets here that have to be placed and then a camera locks into them. But you'll notice a lot of them have holes that require you to drill and place your camera, or come with things like this that does who knows what. What if there was a simpler way? A wireless camera that you simply place and stick. Could this be the camera that you've been waiting for? I'm Wander001. Let's find out. I will start the review off by stating that Tapo did reach out to me and provide me with the Tapo Wireless MagCam for the purposes of doing an unbiased review. The camera itself actually is a sleek cylindrical design with no exterior antennas. The total size that we're looking at is 4 inches long with a width of 2.5 inches. The camera body itself has a IP66 weather rating, and I did do a lot of testing in the rain with this because locally I've been getting a lot. And there's a lot of features that I like about Tapo cameras in their weather, especially rain qualities, which I will show you in a moment. Coming to the front of our camera here, we can see our lens right here. This is a 2560 by 1440 lens with a viewing angle of 150 degrees. That is going to give you a super wide field of view in comparison to other cameras like it. And I really like that because I can now see both my neighbor's yard and just about all of my backyard with one camera placed not even perfectly, because where I place these to test isn't optimal. If I were to put this where it should be, I could see all of my yard and my neighbors, which is great. One thing that I like about Tapo cameras, which might be a little tricky to see right here, around the actual lens itself, there is this little channel or lip. And I like that because it helps cascade rain around the lens rather than over the lens. Coming down, we've got our night viewing options. In this case, you can see 4 LED nodes for your spotlight, and also not visible are 4 850 nanometer IR lights, which will allow you to see in the dark either in classic black and white or in colored night vision, both of which give crisp, clear images. Moving over from the left, this is our ambient light sensor. In the center there, that is a status light, and to the right of that is our microphone on the front. Last but not least, taking up a large amount of space here, this is our PIR sensor. This is our heat-based motion sensor. Any camera that is a battery-powered camera is going to be like this. What I can say is the triggering of this was really good, and I'll demonstrate that a little later. The image sensor have a starlight sensor allowing the camera to see color in very low light, which is surprising for a camera of this size, which is a great feature to have because you can see more for longer periods of time. Moving to the underside of our camera, you have our speaker, which will allow you to hear audio from this. And then moving up, we have a flap for the micro USB, power button, and another flap for your micro SD card, as well as the reset option right there. The flaps themselves do offer a good amount of water sealant. Come down here to the USB portion right there so you can see that. It has a little bit that sticks into the plug itself, which I really appreciate because that helps to aid in its water tightness, especially if you're not actually using this. If you're planning on using the micro SD card for local storage, which is always a great option that you get with Tapo devices, you can have up to a 512 gigabyte card in there, which is more than enough space, even with the 2K video resolution that you'll be getting with this, because the SD card can be set to overwrite the oldest clips. Coming to the back here, we have our mounting options. Now you see it does have a classic screw mount, so if you have some pre-existing mounts that you'd like to use with it, you could. However, the innovative design, MagCam, as you might imagine, is this. This is a magnetic base. The magnetic base is magnetic both on the underside and to the back. So this allows for mounting of the camera very easily and with minimal damage to your actual home, giving you more customization as to where you can mount this without having to put holes in your house, which to me is great, especially if you're a renter. However, if you don't have a magnetized surface to attach this to, you do get other ways of mounting this in the box, as well as a few other accoutrements. So let's take a quick look at what else we get. So for mounting, we have a metal mounting plate that you can screw into place using the included screws and wall anchors. And as always, a placement sticker so you don't have to mark, you just place this and do your drilling. Also have a 3M sticky back tape so you could adhere this to a wall and to this and then magnetize it in place. You also have a micro USB cable and small wall wart for charging the camera. With the camera basics out of the way and the unique mounting feature that won't scratch your surface because of its rubberized footy, what's next? Well, that's actually setup. Because even if the camera is very simple to place, if the setup process is difficult, chances are it's not going to be something that you want to keep. So let me show you how easy it is to set up the Tapo Wire-Free MagCam using the newly revised Tapo application. This will be the setup process for the Tapo Wire-Free MagCam. I will state that I'm actually using a beta of the application, but it should look very similar to this when you actually go to set this up yourself. So in our Tapo app, we're going to come up here to the upper right-hand corner, select the plus sign, and then add device. We're going to look for our camera. In this case, this is an indoor-outdoor camera, so we're going to look under outdoor cameras. Coming down, we select our C85, and it's letting us know that under our camera, we have to turn on camera, press and hold the power button for 3 seconds.
Camera on.
Camera states that it is on. Coming to the front, now it has a red and green light, so we say yes, it is doing that. Now it wants us to connect to the device, so we're going to do that. So now it's going to talk over Wi-Fi to this particular camera and the Tapo application. All right, it found it, and I wish for purposes of doing the review that it didn't show by default the fact that that was in plain text for the password, but through editing, you don't see it. Save password. We are going to now select next because that will be our Wi-Fi credentials. Next.
Connecting to Wi-Fi.
Tapo camera is now connecting to Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi connected.
And just like that, Wi-Fi is connected. Green light on the top, and we have naming convention. There we can see Alex A already picked it up. So we're going to swipe that away, and I am going to call this, looks like a good name. We are going to say custom. We'll say it's in the garden. We have some images that we can pick from. For now, I think I'll use the image of the camera itself. And now it's going to finish configuration. Configuration complete. Sounds good. You have the option to try the Tapo Care Cloud service. You can start your 30-day free trial or start a plan, or as I will be doing, skipping for now. Okay, got it. Next, if you wanted to, we can set up local storage. You can have up to a 512 gigabyte card. I happen to have one over here. So we are going to put this in right now. And that is one of the things that I like about Tapo is they allow you to have local storage and you do not have to depend on their cloud service. So now that I've installed the micro
SD card is not formatted. Please format it according to the app guidelines.
It's letting me know I need to format it, but we're going to say got it. Here we have firmware update, letting me know, hey, we can update your firmware during non-peak hours, generally 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. This is adjustable right here, but I like that. We're going to say got it, and then make sure to close the port for the SD card right there, and then close for the micro USB right there, and hit next. So there you can see, we're going to move on. But now it's giving you a walkthrough of mounting options. We're going to select next, avoid placing behind glass, mount to the side rather than in the middle. And now before you can actually proceed, it's walking you through all of the different adjustments that you should make. And that's partially because it's a PIR sensor. Fully charge the battery before putting in place, and you'll see the charging light in the middle there. So charge now, mount later. We're just gonna hit next because I wanna see what it'll have. Attached to magnetic surface, attached to a wall. Well, we're gonna do the magnetic surface. So base is magnetic and that's magnetic. So check preview again. All right, we're gonna say next because that looks good. Testing the Wi-Fi signal, hasn't moved. It's good, and all set, finished. So that was the setup for the Tapo Wire-Free MagCam. As you saw, not terrible at all. You might wonder, because you don't actually see any doors on this, well, how does this get power? This is powered by a 10,000 milliamp internal battery. Based on Tapo, you can get 300 days of usage, which is 10 months, on a single charge. Your mileage may vary depending on how many triggers you get in a day, but what I can say is even during my heavy usages of testing, I really only dropped this about 5% in a day, and that was for me walking back and forth in front of it constantly, turning on the LEDs, turning off the LEDs, messing with all the settings. So lifespan, probably about right. However, if you want to have almost constant uptime, if we come to the bottom here, you use the Tapo solar panel, which was also provided me as part of my testing. You can get near infinite power for the Tapo wireless magnet cam here with as little as 30 minutes a day, which I thought was a bit of a high threshold. But let me tell you, because I've been getting rain and not a lot of sunlight because I'm out of my summer months now, it actually tops off the camera pretty well. So you can remain constant with very little sunlight. So if you charge the camera fully and then attach the solar panel, you'll pretty much be good unless you get constant notifications because you have people going by it all the time. The solar panel itself is adjustable. It has a large cable so that you can place it further away from the camera itself to get the best solar angle. And one of my concerns was the port down here. How would it handle water? Well, as I said, I've been getting a lot of rain and there were no issues with drippage or water getting into the camera because of the cable coming from the solar panel. The camera itself operates over the 2.4 gigahertz spectrum. So that's going to give you further range, but slower data. However, even with that 2K video clarity that you get from this, 2.4 gigahertz is more than enough. I'd rather be able to place this further away from my house than have faster speeds because you don't need them even with 2K. One thing that you might have noticed that I did not mention when I was discussing the setup process of this camera is the use of a hub. Even though you can get a 3-pack of these, each of these will sit individually over your Wi-Fi, which is great because you don't have to worry about the setup of another device. This talks directly to your Wi-Fi, which allows it to be further away from your house than if it had to talk to a hub and then connect to your network. Having solid hardware is one thing. Tapo has made a very large change to their application, allowing you to create more than just one custom activity zone, allowing you to have notifications for person, pet, and vehicle for free, mind you. But all of that is done through the application. So let's take a look at the new Tapo app for the Tapo Wire-Free MagCam. This is the application for the Tapo Wire-Free MagCam. I will state that I am using a beta of the application, but by the time you're seeing this video, this application should be available in your application store of choice. Starting off, we're gonna say right here, this is our new Tapo Wire-Free MagCam. In the upper right-hand corner here, you have a plus sign. This is how you can add devices to the application. And then the notification bell with the red dot means that, hey, something has gone on. In this case, you can see I have several Tapo cameras, and each of them is letting me know, hey, here's a notification. If I select our MagCam, here you can see person detected. And if I select this, it will bring me into the playback region of the Tapo camera. But this is also accessible from another location, so we'll come back to that a little later. When we're ready, if we select our camera icon in the corner there, notice it's not blue, the one next to it is blue. That is privacy mode, so you can toggle the camera on and off right from here, and once it's in privacy mode, you will not get notifications, you cannot look through it, it is not going to be recording anything, so that's a great feature. You can also see the name, location, as well as battery status. I am currently using the solar panel add-on for this camera in order to charge it even on a slightly rainy day as I have right now. If I actually tap and open, we will actually see the live camera feed once it loads up right here. At the top of the screen here, we can see there is the name of the camera, bitrate, battery status, and our settings icon, which we'll come back to a little later. The Tapo Wire-Free MagCam also supports digital zoom. Simply double tap and you will be automatically zoomed in to as far as it can go. You can pinch to zoom out. You can also zoom in like that, but if you want the quick instant zoom in, you double tap. I wish that feature was a little different, but you can see right there just the level of clarity that you get. I could see each of those individual leaves over there, and that's all just through digital zoom. If I tap on the actual live feed, we have a couple choices. We've got this grid view. We'll come back to that in a moment. Video quality, right now it's at 2K. I can select this and change it from 2K to either 720 or auto. I am currently forcing it to be in 2K for the purposes of this video. We have auto mode, which will be day-night mode. So auto, when it gets light enough out, it will turn the night mode off. When it's dark, it'll turn the night mode on. To the right of that, we have full screen mode. Doing that forces its orientation to change. We then have access to our extra options right here. Take a photo, record, mic, and phone, which we can swap away. As well as down here, we have the grid, sound, the light icon, which are accessible from our main page here. They're just further down the page. Now we're going to come back to our grid icon right here. If I select this, this is one thing that Tapo cameras do very well. Notice we have these empty boxes with plus signs. If I select a plus sign, I can select another Tapo camera that might be online. In this case, the C325WB. And when I do that, what will happen is I get a live feed from both these cameras, and I can swipe, and you can see I can have up to 8 pages of 4 cameras per page. This is a really nice feature if you like having all of your cameras visible in one location. Now, to get rid of the camera, let's say maybe we don't want the camera anymore, simply press and hold and drag up to remove. And what that'll do is that'll remove it from the camera feed. And then simply tapping on our main camera, I select the box, and that brings me back to the single view. Moving down, we have our camera icon. Selecting this, well, that will take a snapshot of whatever's currently in view. If I select the record button, well, that's going to be a video recording of what it's seeing right now. And I can stop that, and it's being saved to this new location, playback and downloads. We'll talk about that in a moment. Next, we have our camera microphone. You have your slider for how sensitive you want it to be, as well as do you want it on at all. You can simply mute that right there or turn that on. To the right of that, we have this little telephone icon. If I select this, this is two-way talk. You actually are like making a call through this. So I would select tap to call. And now in real time, my voice is showing up on the camera. If somebody was out there talking, they would come back to me. I can mute the microphone from here, but still maintain the call. I can turn off the speaker from here, or I can just end the call. I'm going to stay here for one moment. We have our options right up here for the camera microphone and camera speaker volume. Right from there, we're just going to turn those back on so I don't forget and end our call. Next, we have right here our talk. Well, guess what? If we press and hold this, now we're doing, hey, I'm talking to you, and if I take my finger off, you don't hear me anymore. That telephone call up there, regardless of if you have your finger on the button, it will continue. Just like before, we have options for our microphone and speaker right there. Next, we have alarm. Alarm on or alarm off. This is not activating the alarm, meaning it won't be sounding right now. If you turn this on, it does need a person or motion in order for it to go off, but it sounds like this when it does. Privacy mode is just that. If I select privacy mode, notice we cannot see anything. Just like on that main screen, it's not recording. I'm not able to see. It's pretty much just hanging out there in privacy mode. I can select exit privacy mode, which will engage the camera again, as we could see right there. There's my live feed. Here we have our light. If I toggle that on, well, it will stay on for 5 minutes. This way you don't forget to turn it off, which will help maintain the battery. Difficult to see right now since I'm actually doing this in the daytime when that turns on and off. Tagging on or tagging off. This means that if a person or a pet walks through this, it will get a tag. So when you get a live feed, box around something and it will say, this is a person, this is a pet. That's a really nice feature, and I'm happy that Tapo has it because they also differentiate color based on what type of motion it's detecting. Tapo Care, not required with Tapo, which I greatly appreciate, but they do give you a free trial of your services to make sure if it's something that you want. Here you can see 30-day unlimited cloud storage. Here you could see these are kind of the prices for monthly. If you wanted to save some money, you've got year right there. Swiping, aside from cloud storage, the rich notifications, meaning if you want those pictures as part of the notification, this is where you'd have to come for that. And then smart sort, not necessary, but nice that it's there if you want to pay for it. Tapo, the reason I keep coming back to their cameras and liking them as much as I do is that all the stuff that I've been doing, no charge whatsoever for that. Coming down, playback and downloads. If I select this, it's going to show you, is this in the cloud or is this local? So here you can actually see when I was messing around outside, testing it in the rain, we've got our pause, volume, snapshot, recording, and then scissors icon right there where we can clip the size of this down. Now, by default, because this is on battery saving mode, the clip size is short. But if you had a clip that was like a minute long, you can actually clip this down to the exact size that you want the clip to be. And you can see right in there, it shows you right where the clip is. You can shrink that down to about that size, or you can make it larger. This is a great feature that Tapo has that not a lot of other camera companies offer. And then once you clip it down to the size you want, you simply download the clip. Gonna exit out of that. If we had our cloud service, we would simply select that and it would show anything that we had in the cloud. I'm going to pop back over to the SD card for a moment. If I pause, it might be a little difficult to see, but up there in the right-hand corner, there actually is a little indicator, and that indicator is for speed of playback. So right there, I can go down to 1/116th, or I can bring this all the way up to 16 times the speed. So again, if you have a longer clip to go through, you could scrub through it like it was nothing. One feature that I'm happy that Tapo has updated is if I come into this clip right here, and before I had to hit a record button in order to download the clip. Now I simply select these three dots, select download, and it's downloading to the camera memory. Notice now there's a new tab up here that says downloads. If I come over here, this is everything that I downloaded while I was testing. Notice 1 of 1 is complete now, and now that clip exists on my smartphone, no longer just on the camera's SD card. Awesome upgrade. Happy that Tapo finally did that. Coming down, if you had your Tapo Care, cloud video would show up right here, and you would be able to sort through it much like we did for the playback and downloads area. And those are all the camera controls that we have, the Tapo Wire-Free Mag camera. Now we move on to the interesting part. These are the settings. Selecting the sprocket icon in the upper right-hand corner will bring us into the settings menu for our camera. Here we have our device info. Selecting this, we could change the name, location, and Wi-Fi information, but there's other sensitive information, so we're not going to jump into that just yet. Here we have another toggle on and off for our alarm. This is interesting. Detection settings. Notice we have up here our sensitivity settings. Notice it's how far out from the camera would you like it. As we increase that, the range increases. But we've got detection zones. Right now, if I select this, I have all selected. However, a new feature, again, for Tapo, they're listening, they're updating, it's great. Notice here, movement, person, pet. Right now I have it so all are for the entirety of what the camera could see. But I could change this. Maybe I want something different for each. Well, here, person zone. I only really care about this corner over here for a person. That's there. Pet, I only care about this part of my yard. Done. Vehicle, well, I don't get vehicles, but if I did, it would be over here in the sky and across there. At motion zone, I only care about this little part. Now, each of these zones, you can see, it shows me where they would be. You can select individual zones for people, pets, and motion. And notice, you can have more than one for each. You can have a bunch of zones spread out to monitor specific areas for specific activities. Here you can see a general overlay of how that would look, monstrosity that I had when I was doing this for demonstrating for you. But this feature alone separates Tapo from its competition by leaps and bounds. So if you need the ability to limit where on your camera feed you get notifications for specific things, this is game changing. We're gonna select back, and notice in our detection zones area, you do have to toggle on motion, person, pet, and vehicle in order to have the ability to select those zones. Coming down, we have battery status. Right now it's green, and that is because I have the solar panel. But if we have show battery status on or off, notice it will show you little icon. This is what it looks like without. This is what it looks like with. Working mode. This is your differentiating. In my case, I have it on balance, so it's going to do shorter clips, but you could do high performance, power saving, or custom, where you can adjust everything into how long your clips are, how short it is between triggers. And then you have auto power saving mode, meaning once it gets below 10%, it automatically adjusts the power saving to increase the power saving to make it so that the camera battery will last just that much longer. So hopefully that you'll bring it in and plug it in. Right here we have our solar panel. This is a beta option, but I do have it turned on. Do have this warning, but as you see at the top, it is green. It is actually charging. Auto privacy mode. This is another feature which is great to have, and you don't realize it until you use cameras that don't have it. What this will do is if you don't have a solar panel and you bring your camera into charge, if you have this enabled, once you plug in the camera to charge, that means that it will automatically go into privacy mode, meaning it will no longer be recording you, it will no longer trigger, it will no longer send you notifications. If you've ever tried to charge a camera and walk by it in your house and get notified, you know how much of an annoyance that could be. This is another great feature that Tapo has added. Coming down here, we have our battery percentage levels. This is a chart you'll see. The blue is where it was actually using battery. Green is where my solar panel was actually feeding power back in. And then yes, if you select anything here, it will give you information about that. Battery usage, time usage. Again, clicking on any of these brings you more details. Wake up time. So this will give you an idea of when the camera is most active and when it's getting used. And then our solar input. And then you've got a 7-day and a 30-day. While I'm recording the application portion of this video, yes, I have not been using it for 30 days, but I have been using it well over 7 days. Moving on, we have another area where we can access the Tapo free trial right here. We discussed that before. Storage and recording, selecting this. Well, we've got our micro SD card. Again, local storage, excellent option. Got to turn that on. Micro SD card, we can come in here. It's set for loop right there. You can format it if necessary. Make sure that you select micro SD card on. Record schedule. Well, I have it for record everything. But if we wanted to, we could select edit and then hypothetically do a quick clear of my schedule. And now it's not going to record anything. So recording schedule, good feature to have. Clip setting. This is where I was talking about. You could go into custom and have the ability to do this. Retrigger time, how long it takes in between clips. Record buffer, how long past when there's no longer motion detected, will it continue to record? And then maximum clip length, in the case where I am in the power saver mode, anything past 20 seconds and you're going into custom. But you can go all the way up to 120 seconds if you wanted to. And then here's where you can toggle on the ability to record sound. Some places you are not allowed to record sound with your video. That's how you would toggle that on and off. Video and display. Here we have our night mode setting. So we've got infrared mode, or we have color night mode, which will use the spotlights instead of the infrared. Coming back, we have our video quality, 2K 720 for auto. Frame rate, yes, you can actually pick your frame rate depending on your internet stability. 15 frames, 20 frames, or 25 frames a second. I'm doing everything in 25 frames per second because I am stress testing this camera. Privacy zones, well, let's say you don't necessarily want the camera to turn itself off completely, but you have a specific area that you never want to actually have the camera view. Like, well, for me, that might be over here. This is where my neighbors are, and I will add that as a privacy zone. What happens now is that will be blacked out. You will not be able to view it, and in your recordings, it does not come in. It'll come in as that black bar. This is a great feature, again, that Tapo has, adding to the versatility of the camera and the application. On-screen display, if I select this, well, it's going to say what will be displayed as part of the video. Right now I have time and date stamp. I like that, as well as the logo, so I know what I'm looking at. We have display text. If I wanted to have, hey, this is warehouse view 6, I could do that, and simply by toggling that on. Here we have display on screen. Well, right now it shows the speed tag right up there. If I turn that off, there you go. Now it's not going to show the network speed. And then live, if I need to know if it's the live feed or not. I like the fact that they show you on the image here to give you an idea of where things are. We're going to select back. That was on screen. So that was all under video and display. Moving down, we've got our spotlight settings. Selecting this, well, how bright do you want the spotlight to be? 1 to 5. I maxed it out because I want to have it as bright as humanly possible. Status LED light, that's going to be the light on the center of the camera, letting you know what's going on. Network connection, another way to adjust your network. Privacy mode, another place that you can adjust your privacy, turning that on and off. Here we have notifications. Well, right now I have on. If I try to do rich, it's going to bring me to the, hey, you want rich notifications? Pay for the subscription. But you can get activity notifications pushed. So right here you have send me notification. Always during the day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., during the night from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m., or custom range. I want it all the time, but I like the fact that they give you all of these options. Moving on, we have advanced settings, camera account. Camera account will allow you to set up an account specific to that camera, so it's like an extra step to actually log into the camera. Power line frequency, they allow you to change it between 50 and 60 hertz. If you don't know what that means, just stay out of there. Don't mess with it. Let it automatically adjust for you. Video call mode, we have standard mode, but we also have compatibility mode, which ensures the stability of your connection, so less chance of buffering. Here we have display settings, we have hardware acceleration and compatibility mode, again, optimized for lower latency type devices and weaker connections. And then diagnostics, on or off, well, if you turn that on, it will allow you to send some data to Tapo to help them out if you ever run into a problem. Share device? Well, yep, you could share this device. Keep in mind, they will need to have their own Tapo account in order to do so, and they're not being admins. You're just sending it to them so that they could view the camera. We've got a user guide here if you ever need any information regarding the camera. That's where you can go to find it. You can send feedback from right there. Firmware update. This is nice because, well, you can check for firmware manually, or if you have auto firmware, it will automatically check between a specific time frame that you set up, generally when you're not actively awake and using the device, or during periods of lower network usage, which is great. And then we've got reboot camera. If you ever needed to, you simply tap that and it will reboot the camera. Last but not least on this page, we have remove camera. That will remove it from the Tapo app. And that has been all of the settings for the Tapo Wire-Free MagCam. Now, I am going to go back to the front of our Tapo app because this is the updated application. I wanted to show you a couple of things. Favorites, well, favorites are everything kind of skewed together. I kind of like the all devices because I can group them by plugs, switches, and hubs. And one big feature change for the new Tapo app is the ability to bring in those Casa devices. So now you don't have to have two applications. They can all live in one application. You also have the ability to break things down for locations, which is really nice. You've got automation up there, and then, hey, here's an automation that I have set up for a living room camera. Speaking of cameras, if we come down to the bottom, I can select my cameras, and that's going to show me all of my cameras. You can see everything that I have offline also at the moment. You could turn them on to home mode or away mode right from here. Vacuums, if you had any vacuums, guess what? They live right there. Smart. If you set up any smart automation stuff, that's all done through here. There's a shortcut. There's some automations that I have. And then last but not least is your account settings. This is going to bring you playback and downloads of all of your cameras, camera memories for all of your cameras, firmware, all of your firmware for the cameras, notifications, again, all cameras, device sharing, all cameras, and then link Tapo with Casa. You will need to do that when you first set up the application. Third-party services, widgets, there are lots of things, but the account area is really going to be for all of your devices. But that is a look at not only the new Tapo app for the Tapo Wire-Free MagCam, but also overall the new Tapo app, period, for all of your cameras and all of your other Tapo devices. There you saw, there are a lot of quality of life changes that Tapo has made in combining both the Tapo app and allowing you to control your Casa smart home items as well. Solid hardware, solid application. What's next? What should you know about this? Well, first is going to be, I said there was a speaker. How does the audio sound from the camera? Let's take a listen now.
Audio test. Tapo Wire-Free MagCam. Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Test 1, test 2, test 3, and test.
Audio test. Tapo Wire-Free MagCam. From camera to application. Sally sells seashells by the seashore. Peter Piper picked a pack of pickled peppers. Test 1, test 2, test 3, and test. For the size of the camera and the speaker location, I would say that is very good audio, as you heard. Next, lens. You heard me tell you all about the clarity, the large field of view that you get with this. So next is obviously video. And while I will show you a few samples of video here, I do want to state that over there in the corner, I will have a separate video for the 2K version of the video that you're seeing now, because, well, this is downscaled for a 1080 video, but here you get a decent idea of the sharpness and how things look in different lighting situations, letting you see, even downscaled, this camera has some superb video. So make sure you check out the video in the corner for the full 2K glorious video that you can get with this camera. Now that you've seen that, the video sharpness and color and limited ghosting for night, which I do appreciate. Next, how quickly do I get notified when something actually passes in front of my camera? Here's a spoiler, very quickly. Let me show you. Speed test of the notification for Tapo Wire-Free MagCam. So right now, 148. I'm within its line of sight, and right there. 2 notifications for Tapo. Motion and person right at the same time. Pretty good. You'll know it picks you up if you get a red light and then the green light. Nice speed. that notification push is one of the fastest that I have tested a wireless battery-powered camera. So, food for thought. Tapo continues to innovate in the home security camera space while not locking you into a subscription model, which is why I can recommend the Tapo Wire-Free Magnetic Camera, especially if you want to have easy placement of a 2K camera with starlight sensor. If you're looking to pick one up for yourself, you can always go to a big box retailer like Best Buy, which does carry the Tapo line. You can also purchase the camera from Best Buy online, as well as a few other retailers. But chances are, if you're like me and you're looking for electronics, Best Buy is going to be your first stop. I will have links in the description area below for where you can pick this camera up. Again, links in the description area below. If you appreciate the time and effort that goes into making in-depth videos like this, make sure to hit that like button, as that'll help other people find the video as well. If you like what I'm doing here and want to be notified of my next review, hit that subscribe button. If you're still not sure if the Tapo Wire-Free MagCam is the right Tapo camera for you, on screen now, you will see other Tapo camera reviews that'll help you make an informed purchasing decision.